beginning. For the more that man knows, the more he realizes how little he really understands, how much he has yet to learn. A closer look at the universe? Perhaps. But man must continue to look to himself if he truly wants to master all the secrets of time and space. For the future will belong to those who can use knowledge wisely, not wastefully. The future will belong to those who can understand the mysteries of the universe and then put that knowledge to work for the betterment of mankind. Man is still a long way from being the ruler of the skies, but he is getting there. And since that historic giant step onto the surface of the moon, man may at last have grown up enough to consider himself one of the family of the universe, at peace with himself and in harmony with the unfolding mysteries of the world about him. And as scientific research continues, the questions multiply. What is really out there in space? Who might be listening to our radio broadcasts and monitoring our thought patterns? Who might be out in the vastness of the universe searching for the answers as much as we search for the same answers to the riddles of creation right here on Earth? In the years to come, scientific research must face the continuing challenge of space travel as mankind moves forward in the race to conquer the universe, spurred on by the internal political tensions of the globe and man's own quest for knowledge. Man can learn to live in space, but he must adapt. He must adapt or refuse to and not survive. All of the craft that man flies in space must be subjected to an endless series of quality control tests, and all the parts of rocket ships are manufactured to the closest tolerances that man can imagine. Mankind reaches into space, and by reaching into the secrets of the cosmos, he is reaching into the innermost secrets of his own creations. Why not sit back, relax, and come with us briefly on a journey through all the amazing worlds of scientific endeavor as we tour the world of the technological race for space. Mankind subjects himself to continual tests of endurance, submitting himself to many G's of gravity, in tests designed to see how long a man can endure in space. Man must know a great deal about himself, his own tolerances and needs, before he can really step out into the world of the unknown. The astronauts who landed on the moon went through months and years of exhaustive testing before they were pronounced ready by NASA for their astounding voyage through space. And now, come with us to the launching pad and see for yourself the incredible expense and scope of a conventional interplanetary rocket. Long before the takeoff, technicians must check the rocket to make sure that it will survive the long journey through space and safely return the astronauts to Earth when the mission is over. The technicians know that human lives hang in the balance, that human ambition and human endurance are only as strong as the equipment which men must use to take them from the pull of Earth's gravity. Lifts off with incredible impact, hurling us into the skies. The blast seems interminable, as it agonizingly stretches out the seconds before we are truly in the air. The locks fall back, the safety hoses are disconnected, and the rocket slowly glides off the launching pad and lifts into the air, clearing the gantry with only a few hundred feet to spare. Think of the enormous expense and incredible technology needed to put a rocket into orbit. The men, the thousands of man-hours, the work and the sacrifice so that man may conquer the stars. The technicians track the spaceship as it follows its course into outer space, where hopefully man will finally add a little to his small but ever-increasing body of knowledge. Man searches the heavens, looking for the answers that have seemed beyond reach for thousands upon thousands of years. Will mankind find the answer to the riddle of creation in outer space? Will the heavens give up their secrets at last and allow mankind to live in a world without war, without pain, without fear, without hunger, without having to wonder what tomorrow might have in store? Our children's tomorrows may depend upon what we can discover today. And man continues to explore the mysteries of the heavens, searching for the answers to these questions. Someday, perhaps, his search may be over. Man makes records of his exploits, films and videotapes, which chart his progress as he reaches for the stars. Mankind's many ventures deserve to be recorded for posterity. These films are a kind of scrapbook of our first baby steps into space. By studying these documents, man may have a better chance of refining his technique and avoiding costly accidents.
In orbit from either John Young or Gus Grissom. We've heard almost nothing from John Young.
But man continues to dream and continues to build, functioning best perhaps when the odds are heavily stacked against him. The cost may be high, but man will never stop until he truly controls his own destiny in the universe. As we look out over the vast panorama of the universe, we can only wonder and continue to search for answers. Here is another exposure from the series from Romania, where the 5 photos you saw before are now joined by this 6th view of the UFO vanishing into the sky. Recently, top experts examined these photos and declared them completely genuine. This is a sketch made by a Georgia man who witnessed a UFO in the summer of 1973. The witness said that the UFO hovered over him a few seconds, then changed direction and started back across the road in front of him and then vanished. This is a final view of the Zurich, Switzerland UFO series, and once again it shows the clear outline of the UFO as it landed and then took off from a small woodland grove in the Swiss mountains. This photo is considered genuine by many authorities. Here is a picture of a UFO which was recently seen over Los Angeles. Witnesses said that the object hovered in the air, then moved in an elliptical pattern away from them, then suddenly vanished in the distance over the mountain. This UFO sighting took place in Ohio, where a man out mailing a letter came upon this UFO in the sky in front of him, not more than 500 yards away. He quickly took this picture, which has defied expert photo analysis and is considered genuine. This UFO sighting took place in China in 1944. The UFO was seen over a city, fluidly moving through the air, clearly visible as being a disc-shaped object of no known earthly design. This photo, too, has been declared genuine, bearing no evidence of tampering or trickery. Here is another view of the same object. The UFO was moving so fast that the image was blurred because the shutter was not fast enough to freeze the image. Again, this photo has defied the experts. This photo was taken on July 17, 1956, in Drakensberg, Natal, Africa. And the craft performed incredible maneuvers in front of the photographer while a large crowd of astonished witnesses gathered, all of whom would later swear to the authenticity of the incident. Mankind is continually at the mercy of the elements. The storms and the natural disasters which plague man are still largely mysteries, although now, with his satellites and weather stations, man can forecast the weather with a certain degree of accuracy. But still, he often makes mistakes, and the elements remain unpredictable and sometimes menacing. This hurricane is being tracked as it closes in on a coastal town, and the pictures which are taken by the weather satellites spell one thing: trouble. The pictures which make up this global weather map can accurately forecast local weather activity. And although these maps may assist mankind in accurately pinpointing the area of storms, as well as their activity, mankind is still a sitting duck for whatever the elements feel like dishing out. Man is on the receiving end. He is not in control of the weather. The pictures come in and are analyzed by weather experts. And by going over these photographs carefully and subjecting them to computer analysis, these weather experts can make the decisions which will help the local authorities save lives. Man is dependent upon a stable environment in order to survive, and by forecasting disasters before they happen, the physical damage and psychological trauma of a hurricane or tornado are minimized. As the reports come in and the pictures shape up, it becomes clear there is only one path. A certain area must be evacuated. Again, these sort of weather disturbances have been linked to UFO activity. And some have even speculated that tornadoes are often the work of UFOs, leaving a terrific tailwind in their wake and aggravating the already unfavorable weather conditions into true hurricane or tornado weather. The head of the Weather Bureau draws up maps, aided by the computers, which by storing the information on the hurricane in its memory banks, can chart incredibly accurate path predictions for the storm, and at amazing speed. The computer-operated pencil scribe traces a thick line on the weather maps, the line of evacuation. The local police and civil defense squads swing into action, bringing in emergency supplies and evacuating the citizens who are directly in the path of the oncoming storm. Every available means of transportation is pressed into service. School buses, trucks, anything. But those people must be evacuated and lives must be saved. There are only seconds to spare, and then the tornado hits. The path of the destruction is enormous, and the costs of the destruction will later be estimated in the many millions upon millions of dollars. But at least there will be no human lives lost because of the destructive fury of the storm. There is nothing that can be done for all the property lost, but the people are safe until next time. The fury of the storm is incredible, ripping up beachfront and destroying lifelong possessions and property. But look at the whole thing from a cosmic point of view. What does it matter in the vast design of the universe? These events matter nothing in the overall cosmic scheme of things as mankind struggles to understand the secrets of the universe, although plagued by disaster and sickness at home. In the larger view, the affairs of man are of little consequence. Mankind's trials and tribulations are just a split second in the life of the universe, a life which is reckoned in the millions of years. Who can say what is really as important in the scheme of the universe as a human life, except perhaps an alien life somewhere out there in the illimitable vastness of space? And so our sentinels of the skies, our silent watchdog satellites, continue to make pictures, keep records, and survey the surfaces of the planets, assembling the most exhaustive cartographic evidence man can obtain, and giving man a more accurate picture of the amazing universe that he lives in. As we touch down on the surface of the moon, what do we see? We see the many, many rocks, the craters, the seemingly barren expanse of the moon stretching before us in all of its glory. But what is beneath the surface of the moon? And of course, what is in the moon's past? What secrets does the moon have hidden deep in the mists of time as we go back to the dawn of the universe's creation and speculate as to how the universe was created? Many scientists think that the most logical theory is the Big Bang theory, the theory that the universe was started by a terrific explosion of cosmic gas and debris. And in this past, is it not possible that the moon harbored intelligent life? This UFO was photographed over southern Italy in the summer of 1968. The UFO was seen by a large crowd, all of whom offered sworn affidavits to the military authorities, who, however, preferred to forget the incident. This saucer was photographed near some power lines in late 1976 in Southern California. The UFO is clearly visible in the daylight sky. There are often many UFO sightings near power lines, power stations, and the like, suggesting that these things interest UFOs. This UFO was photographed over the Benedum Airport in West Virginia in the spring of 1968. Again, the UFO was seen by many observers, all of whom agreed that the aircraft was definitely not of human origin. This is another view of the Drakensberg, Africa sighting, and shows the UFO clearly visible in the bright sky. The UFO sighting was one of the most spectacular of the recent rash of sightings. This photo of a UFO near some power lines, again, was taken in California in the fall of 1976. The sighting was one of many, and for a time it appeared a UFO might have even landed, but there were conflicting reports on a landing. This UFO was seen near Eagle Rock, Virginia in May 1978. Note the classic disc shape of the UFO as it hovers over the ground. It was seen by 10 witnesses. This UFO was seen over Prince Edward Island in July of 1976. The UFO sighting was one of many in that July and August and was considered one of the more authoritatively reported UFO sightings. This elliptical flying saucer was spotted over Dallas, Texas in 1973. Again, the disc shape is readily apparent, and the photo has been subjected to detailed analysis. This UFO was photographed off Nantucket, Massachusetts in the summer of 1977. Again, the outline of the UFO is unmistakable. And this UFO sighting joins the file of the ever-increasing number of UFO sightings. This UFO was seen flying through a clump of trees and photographed by a man who was just out for a stroll, who happened to have his camera along. This is considered a genuine UFO sighting. Do UFOs come from the moon? Are we being visited by men from the moon? Men who wish to visit our planet and make our fondest dreams come true? Dreams of interplanetary peace and harmony? Dreams of dominion beyond the stars as we take our place in the order of the universe? These maps show that perhaps a civilization did exist on the moon, but that civilization is perhaps just a memory we mentioned a while ago. The vast barren expanse of the moon's surface may yield up a vast treasure trove of knowledge on the secrets of the universe, but it may also serve as a grim warning to mankind that we must wisely use our knowledge or perish. Mankind's brief walk on the moon did not really change anything. It simply made man more aware of his responsibilities in the universe. The trip to the moon and the eventual exploration of the planets beyond the moon and the planets in our solar system is a necessary first step in the understanding of the universe. But as we claim the moon for ourselves, for the United States, does it not seem rather incredible that we should have the nerve to claim the moon as ours, when in fact the moon belongs to no one? It is the moon which has claimed us. Since the dawn of time, man has felt the strange powers of the moon exerting its will upon him, and noticed the pull of the moon's gravitational forces on the tides, as well as the pull of the moon's forces on the affairs of men. Long ago, police noticed that during a full moon, the action in a given precinct will greatly increase, particularly crimes of passion. What strange force does the moon exert on the affairs of men? Is this strange power of the moon a legacy of its former inhabitants? We cannot be certain, but the questions remain for us to think on and wonder. On the moon, our astronauts, though engaged in serious work, exhibited a slightly playful manner. Is this a result of the influences of the moon, which made our astronauts giddy and spaced out? Back on Earth, the engineers of Mission Control keep watch on the mission as they monitor the progress of the mission from the ground. Masses of information come in from the spaceship's computers, information which is automatically stored on videotape and computer tape for later analysis by the engineers for Mission Control. These engineers know that they have a responsibility to get the data clearly and correctly recorded, and then to make the swiftest possible analysis of the materials. And finally, it is time to lift off back to planet Earth. The small shuttlecraft takes off, bearing the astronauts on their way back to Earth. The material collected on the moon is then brought back to Earth to be subjected to detailed analysis by the technicians of Mission Control. The microscopic examination these rock fragments get may tell us more about how the solar system was formed and how mankind came to take his rightful place in the universe. At Mission Control, the scientists examine the results of the mission. The precision with which the data is examined is incredible. Nothing escapes the scrutiny of the scientists. And the probe ships which man launches today will help him keep track of the conditions in outer space tomorrow. Who knows what additional information these photo maps may bring back? Perhaps one day we will accidentally discover an alien civilization in one of these photographs as we see what a drone picture-taking satellite has picked up. The pictures which we use to forecast the weather and keep military watch over our country could well assist us in the exploration of the universe as well. The amount of data is so incredible that we must have many, many computers to transform all the raw data into meaningful information. Information which will preserve our security. Information which will allow us to live in peace and harmony with all nations and to be free of fear from natural and unnatural possible disasters. As these watchdogs of the skies keep us informed, we realize that without them, the very delicate balance of nature's laws might be disrupted. And we wonder about man's role in the ever-changing universe. Will the visitors from outer space help us in our quest for peace or enslave us? We wait in silence for the answer. Our drone satellites tell us many things about our land. We learn more about our crops and how they grow, about cycles of growth which affect the foods we eat, the grains we feed to our cattle. In older times, man had to trust a farmer's almanac to predict the weather, and often when the almanac was wrong, the farmer went broke, as crops which he had planted according to the almanac were destroyed by late frosts or early summers. This is now all in the past. Weather satellites furnish the farmer with 6-month forecasts, which are often astonishingly accurate. Now the farmer can plant his grains with confidence because he knows that the crops he plants can be counted on to grow. These same satellites can do other kinds of surveillance as well. They can be applied to military uses and could be used to scout out enemy missiles in a foreign country. But in addition, these satellites can deliver clear pictures of residential areas and facilitate an enemy attack. And suppose the UFOs in our skies are actually the military reconnaissance drone picture satellites of an alien civilization. These satellites could send back clear pictures of all of Earth's defense system to an alien civilization and pave the way for an alien visit or attack. Man can use the satellite pictures to help him to control pests which plague man's agriculture and which cost millions of dollars annually in lost crops and damages to fields. In addition, computer technology crossed with agricultural husbandry enables man to produce many millions of silkworms, which spin fabrics used in some bomb sites and in many part synthetic blend clothing products. But these computer biological skills can be used for far more sinister applications, as in the development of a series of laboratory clones or laboratory parasites, which might accidentally be released and cause severe biological damage. Perhaps aliens are using computers to help them breed a race of attacking drones, which will permit them to enslave the Earth with effortless technological ease. Man still has much to discover in his search for ways to control even earthly parasites. Recently, during a garbage strike in New York City, the police did not let out the information that because of the lack of garbage pickup, rats were beginning to breed out of control in many areas of the city. The rats were living in garbage dumps and still proliferate in such New York areas as the South Bronx and the poorer parts of Brooklyn. These rats carry the bubonic plague and many other diseases, attack babies in cribs, and have been recently reported at lengths of up to 3 feet. If man cannot control even such a lowly animal as the rat and the cockroach, how can he hope to effectively combat an invasion in the form of small parasitic monsters, feeding on human flesh, who would come from the stars to attack mankind from within his own homes? Such an alien invasion would be nearly irresistible, and with the aid of UFOs, these parasites could be introduced effectively and without much commotion. We return to space. It is quiet, all about you, only space. On the surface of the planet below, a rocket ship loads more mineral cargo for the Earth. In the future, we may be able to mine many precious minerals and oil or other products from the surface of the moon, or perhaps Mars. This spaceship has an unusual design and was designed by a noted astronomer and writer in the late 1950s. On the surface of the surrounding planet, it is quiet. Then suddenly, another payload from Earth is dropped to the colonists on the surface of the planet. It is the not-too-distant future, and we are watching the colonization of the furthest reaches of the universe. The bright sun shines down mercilessly on the planet and makes us cling desperately to our air-conditioned life support system within our ship. For here in deep space, in the midst of the majestic symphony of the moving planets as they whirl carelessly about the solar system, we understand that we are really the children of the universe, bound on a voyage of discovery and knowledge which will lead us onward to a destination which we do not even know the name of. There will be new planets to explore and new worlds to discover. There will be 1,001 incredible adventures to be witnessed in the new universe as man discovers the secrets of the distant heavens. We move through space with incredible speed, leaving behind our own galaxy, the Milky Way. There are all around us clouds of dust and spectral dirt. They form the vast nebula of other galaxies, galaxies which we will someday explore. We travel through these distant galaxies at incredible speed, moving carelessly among the planets with a rhythm very much matched to their own. In this not-too-distant future, we have mastered the art of time-warp space travel, which enables us to cover great distances in space in very short time spans. There are many, many secrets waiting to be discovered in the astounding and mysterious universe. Here is a drawing of a spaceman found on the wall of an ancient cave in Greece. This ancient drawing reveals clearly a thing or form of inhuman origin, similar to the Cyclops of our own mythology. Here is another ancient drawing, this time found on the wall of a burial tomb in Peru. This design clearly seems to be that of a spaceship, complete with pressurization chambers and a fuel thrust system. Here is a flying saucer of the drone picture-taking variety, only 3 feet in diameter, hovering over the ground in Mexico. This photo is widely thought to be genuine. This is the shadow of a UFO and the airplane it was photographed from, taken by an airline passenger in 1963 off the coast of Britain. This UFO was filmed in 1964 in Oregon and is considered one of the most authoritative of the UFO photos and has been subjected to much expert analysis. (1965). This UFO was photographed over England by a retired barrister from Kent. The picture caused a sensation in the daily press. (1974). This exclusive photo was a front-page sensation all over Europe. Truly, it seems as if the UFO controversy is becoming hotter all the time. In the early part of this century, the Wright brothers took out a patent for an airplane. Their design became the first heavier-than-air craft to fly, and Orville and Wilbur Wright had earned themselves a place in history. In this rare, early archival footage, we see some of man's more serious attempts to conquer the air. The first flights were short, but they proved the point. Man could fly through the air and leave the ground in a heavier-than-air craft. By the 20s, the aircraft was a common, though still daredevilish thing, and the pilots often risked their lives to fly in planes that were unsafe and, in any event, untested by time and often manufactured with no respect for any kind of safety standards. These planes now hang in the Aviation Hall of Fame, answering the honor roll call in the history of aviation. barnstorming early pilots were the mavericks of their day, and their stock in trade was thrills and chills. They toured the country fairs, risking their necks for a few dollars for anyone who would watch. The attitude of these men was anything for a thrill. These stunts are still incredible, and none of this footage is faked in any way. This is all real. By the late 20s and early 30s, America was flying high, high over the towers of New York, over the stately canyons of Gotham. America had grown up flying and was loving it. Ever since man took off from the ground on that first day at Kitty Hawk, man knew that he had a destiny in the air. And bit by bit, he was fulfilling it, becoming one with the birds of the air, flying high among the clouds. Borrowing the design of his aircraft from the birds, man has created a series of the most exactingly designed planes ever created, culminating in this incredible Starfire jet, which cruises at supersonic speeds and has amazing maneuverability. Here, the jet is tested in a wind tunnel. Here, we have a quick montage of the various prototypes, all of which led up to the real thing. Here, being released during its maiden flight in the air, the supersonic aircraft of the future, in the air at last. This NASA experimental prototype is one of the most sophisticated flying machines ever built by man. Here, we see the assembly of the space shuttle at the NASA facilities in Houston and Florida. The body is assembled piece by piece, painstakingly put together by dedicated technicians who work around the clock to build the incredibly costly but incredibly necessary space shuttle. This is the first step towards a rocket built for later use and re-entry to Earth. For instance, on the way back from a trip to the moon. And everything has to be just right, engineered to the most exacting tolerances. The United States seal is proudly emblazoned on the side of the craft. The space shuttle is ready for its first flight. It takes to the air, piggyback on a larger plane, which will release it in the air. Soon, we are in the air, aloft in the shuttle, on its way to outer space. The plane will release the shuttle when we are in the Earth's outer atmosphere. At the factories in the NASA complex, the Rocketdyne engine is developed which will power the space shuttle into its voyage to the edge of the universe. Skilled technicians work around the clock, working against time, working against the pressures of technical accuracy, working to perfect the perfect engine for the space shuttle. The space shuttle must depend entirely on this engine. Without the engine, the shuttle will fall to Earth, to destruction, perhaps burning up in the Earth's atmosphere. The shuttle can have no backup engine. Therefore, it is imperative that the one engine on which it must depend must be of the highest quality. The engine is continually tested for thrust, accuracy, and dependability, and nothing is overlooked. Everything is checked and rechecked. And at long last, the space shuttle is ready. The engine of the craft will require an enormous housing, and the mothership to launch the space shuttle will require a huge frame. The enormous size, even of the parts for the space shuttle, makes it necessary to use huge hangars to house all the construction sites. These construction sites are under tight red light security, and everything is checked again and again and subjected to every possible test. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong in the testing procedures. The engine, all the parts of the spaceship's body, every part, every circuit of the spaceship is checked and rechecked. And every part of the spaceship is subjected to the most rigorous stress tests imaginable. And again, without the aid of computers, mankind would not know how to test or design or even fly these enormous space shuttles and space stations in the future of man in the universe. When we get into outer space, more than ever before, man will depend upon computers to keep him up to date on important information. How else could man possibly keep track of the vast amount of data that he has to in order to accurately coordinate every part of a space mission? The task is too enormous for one person to coordinate. The whole project must be carefully considered. Every step must be checked to make sure that nothing goes wrong in space, where there is very little possibility to correct a major planning error. The massive logic consoles of a computer can assist man in his thrust into space. But again, these computers are tools which can be used for or against man. Who knows what the future holds? Who knows what strange mysteries lurk in the outer reaches of the universe? Mankind is still researching, still putting together all the pieces of an extraordinary puzzle, which he continues to work on even until this very day. And computers can help man to accurately draw pictures of what the future will be like, what conditions will be like on the Earth, hundreds, thousands, even millions of years from now. With the aid of computers, many scientists feel they have been able to predict the approximate age when the solar system will burn out and our sun either expire or explode in a haze of cosmic dust and ash. That day will not come for many millions upon millions of years, unless we ourselves, through our savagery and ignorance, through our hate and stupidity, turn our own planet into a barren nuclear wasteland in the aftermath of an atomic attack. The computers draw charts which help us to better predict what things will be like. But again, we must always remember that the computers are no smarter than the information that we feed into them. That for all the miles of magnetic tape, a machine is still a machine, and the computer is our slave, not the other way around. The computer can make our lives easier, or it can enslave us all. Idi Amin, the infamous recently deposed African dictator, used computers in his state research center to torture and maim, even murder, many thousands upon thousands of innocent people. Imagine a Hitler tied into a computer bank. The thought is horrifying. But in space research, computers continue to be a valuable tool to assist us in our search through the stars. Without the aid of these thinking miracles, we would be little more than dreamers, unable to make our dreams come true. Technology can make our fondest dreams come true, if used wisely, or it can turn our lives into living nightmares. At every step of the way, computers assist in the reprogramming of any possible computer error, programming and reprogramming until the calculations come out correctly. Without these computer-assisted programs, man would not be able to fly or design any of the spaceships he would need on the voyage across infinity. Commercial aviation on a continental basis would be impossible. Air traffic programmers would find it impossible to schedule so many flights. And every aircraft landing would be a tricky affair. Thanks to computers, we can plan a future among the stars. Yes, the stars in the heavens, the stars which shine as we travel through them at incredible speed. And wait, what's that? Could those be UFOs from an alien civilization, flying towards us with a greeting or a warning? Could these three specks of light be UFOs from an alien planet? We cannot be certain. In all the vastness of the universe, there are still so many mysteries to unfold. We look around us as the planets silently glide through the reaches of distant interstellar space, and we realize that here, in the outer reaches of space, all the hopes and dreams of the most ambitious mind will find fruition. Mankind truly belongs among the stars, if he can reach them. As we silently pass by the planets, we wonder, what sort of alien life forms will we find on them? Will these aliens be humanoid, or appear in a shape very unlike our own? Will these aliens be our friends, or our enemies? Will these aliens work with us, or will they destroy us, ruthlessly crushing us in a bloody alien invasion which comes without warning, without a word, an attack with no mercy? Here we are, then, amidst the beauty and serenity of the universe, floating effortlessly among the planets. And we wonder what secrets they may hold for us. Are there really UFOs in the skies? Do UFOs come from other planets far beyond our own galaxies? And do they bring us visions of peace and fruitful harmony? Or do they bring terror? Why has the Air Force so persistently abandoned Project Blue Book in spite of the ever-increasing daily flood of new UFO reports which continually cross the desks of the most respected government scientists and researchers? What sort of secrets are there really in the current UFO controversy? What sort of future is there in store for us as we consider the question, is there life on other worlds? Is there a race out there, far in the distant reaches of space, which awaits a visit from us? Until all the facts are known and all the evidence is put firmly into the light, we will never be certain. Recently, in the summer of 1978, the United Nations chaired a worldwide conference on UFOs and decided that UFOs were a matter of grave national concern, while our own CIA steadfastly refuses to admit that UFOs even exist. Believe in UFOs? Do you think that UFOs exist? There will be no clear answer until all the secrets are out in the open, when there is no more need for a file marked UFO Top Secret.